course project. I am Brenda G. Bartolome. The list of the topic that I discussed today is Group 3. It is a one concept, a network evolution, part 1 and part 2, and a network troubleshooting. The one concept, what is WAN? It is a wide area networks. It is used to connect in remote lands. A WAN may cover a city, a country, a global region. A WAN also is owned by a service provider, and a business pays the fee to use the provider's WAN network services. This is also a mode of telecommunications, allows users and businesses to effectively carry out its daily functions regardless of their geographic locations with the purpose of computer networking. It is also few common uses are the internet itself, online banking, online shopping, even now in AMA, we are utilizing WAN for our online learning and much more. The WAN topologies. The first is the point-to-point, which is employ a point-to-point circuit between two endpoints. A packet sent from one site are delivered to the other site and vice versa. The next is the hub and spoke. It is less expensive option if a private network requires connection between multiple sites. Next is the full mesh. Any site can communicate directly within any other sites. Disadvantage of this is the virtual circuits needs to be configured and maintained. The next one is the dual homed. The dual homed, it's more expensive than the single home topologies and more difficult to implement. It offers enhances network redundancy, load balancing, distributed computing or processing, and the ability to implement backup service provider connections. The one concept and one operation. What is one in the OSI model? The first layer, layer 1, is the protocol describe how to provide electrical, mechanical, operational, and functional connection to the services of the communication service provider. Layer 2 is the protocol define how data is encapsulated for transmission towards the remote locations and the mechanism for transferring the resulting frames. WAN also access standards are defined and managed by the number of the recognized authorities, Telecommunication Industry Association and the Electronic Industries Alliance or TIA or EIA, and also the International Organization for Standardization, which is ISO, and then the last is the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering or IEEE. The one technology is the circuit switching. It is established a dedicated circuit or channel between nodes and terminals before the users may communicate. Dynamically establishes a dedicated virtual connection for voice or data between a sender and a receiver. The two common types of circuit switches WAN technologies are the public switch telephone network or PSTN and the integrated services digital network ISDN. The next one is the packet switching. It is the split traffic data into packets that are routed over the shared network and does not require a circuit to be established, and they allow many pairs of nodes to communicate over on the same channel. Its cost of packet switches is lower than that of circuit switching, but latency and jitter are greater as well. The one concept and the one access. It is a private WAN infrastructures. The service provider may offer dedicated point-to-point last line circuit switches links such as PSTN or ISDN, and pocket switch links such as Ethernet, WAN, ATM, or frame delayed. The public WAN infrastructure. It is the service provides providers that offer broadband internet access using digital subscribers line or DSL, a cable, and a satellite access. Broadband connection options are typically used to connect small offices and telecommunicating employees to a corporate site over the internet. The data traveling between corporate site is the public WAN infrastructures should be protected using VPN. The network evolution, or the Internet of Things, which is IoT, refers to the network of this physical object accessible through the Internet. It is a phrase that denotes the billions of electronic devices that are now able to connect to our data networks and the Internet. It is by connecting the unconnected that we transition from the Internet to the Internet of Things. IoT commonly associated with smart, though at its early stages we see the vast improvement with more and more devices as being tagged as smart devices or gadgets such as smart TV, smartphones, smart homes, smart locks, smart glasses, and etc. The IoT pillars. The first is the network connectivity, next fog computing, security, data analytics, management and automation, and the application enabled platforms. The IoT benefits includes more data means better informed decision, ability to track and monitor things or process, automation may lighten workloads, increase efficiency by saving resources like time, money, manpower, etc., and overall, the better quality of life. The cloud computing. It is enable individuals and organizations to store and access large amount of data without worrying about the physical components. It involves large numbers of computers connected through the network that can be physically located anywhere. The cloud computing, with its pay-as-you-go model, allows organizations to treat computing and storage expenses more as the utility rather than investing in infrastructure, thus can reduce operational cost by using resources more efficiently. The cloud computing services includes the software as service or as SaaS. Next is the platform as a service, PaaS, infrastructure as a service, LaaS. Last one is IT as a service or ITaaS. The cloud computing models, the public clouds, is made available to the general population. Services may be free or free offered on pay-per-use model, such as paying for online storage like Google Drive, Microsoft, OneDrive, Dropbox, etc. The private clouds, it is intended for a specific organization or entity, such as government, may be expensive to build and maintain. The next is the hybrid clouds. It made up of two or more clouds, where each part remains as a distinctive object, but both are connected using a single architecture, has degree of access to various services, base and user access rights. Next is the community clouds. It is created for exclusive use by a specific community which has been customized based on functional needs. The cloud computing benefits. It is the cloud computing support a variety of data management issues, It is enable access to organizational data anywhere and at any time. It streamlines the organization's IT operation by subscribing only to needed services, eliminates or reduces the need for on-site IT equipment, maintenance, and management, reduces costs for equipment, energy, physical plants requirements, and personal training needs, enable rapid responses to increasing data volume requirements. The SDN. What is SDN? It's a software defined network. It is the network, the architectural that has been developed to virtualize the network. SDN also can virtualize the control plane or the controller based SDN and the move to control plane from each network device to a central network intelligence and policy making entity. It's called the SDN controller. The SDN controller defines the data flows that occur in the SDN data plane. SDN type. The first is the device-based SDN. Devices are programmable by application running on the services server in the network. Next is the controller-based SDN. It is uses the centralized controller that has knowledge of all devices in the network. Application can interface with the controller responsible for managing devices and manipulating traffic flows throughout the network. Next is the policy-based SDN. It is similar to the controller-based SDN, where the centralized controller has a view of all devices in the network, which include an additional policy layer that operates. No programming skills are required as it uses built-in application that advance configuration tasks via a guided workflow and user-friendly GUI. SDN benefits. It is network programmability, logical, centralized, intelligent, and control. Next is the network abstraction, and then the openness. It is example is API. The network troubleshooting. This is an act of discovering and correcting problems with connectivity, performance, security, and other aspects of network. It is the process of identifying problems with the network through the rigorous and repeatable process and then solving those problems using testable methods. There are three major stages to the troubleshooting process. The first stage 1 is to gather symptoms. Stage 2 is to isolate the problem. Stage 3 is to implement corrective action. The network troubleshooting steps. The stage 1 is to gather symptoms, which is that there are 5 of gathering information. The first step 1 is to gather information. The second step is determine ownership. The third is narrow the scope. The fourth is gather symptoms from suspected devices. The fifth is the document consumption. To gather symptoms from suspected network devices, use Cisco IOS commands and other tools. It includes ping, traceroute, and telnet commands. It shows and debug commands, the packet captures, and device logs. The method for the network troubleshooting is the bottom-up troubleshooting methods. Here's the application, the transport, the network, the data link, and then the physical, which is started from the physical, of course. The next is the top-down troubleshooting methods. You can start here in the application, then transport, and then network, and then goes to data link, and then the last is the physical. The divide and conquer troubleshooting. You can start first the transportation, or you can start the network, or you can start with the data link and then proceed to physical and then the application. Next one is the tools. The software troubleshooting, network management, system tools, knowledge base, baselining tools, protocol analyzer. The hardware troubleshooting is the digital multimeters, cable tester, cable analyzer, portable network analyzer, and then the last one is the network analyzer module. The symptoms, causes of the physical layer troubleshooting. The first one is the physical, and then the second is the data link, the third is network, the fourth is transport, and then next is session, the presentation, and then the last is the application. The data link layer troubleshooting. The first is physical, the same as procedure and the previous one. Next is the data link. The third one is network. But then the cause on data link, it is encapsulating errors, address mapping errors, framing errors, and STP failure or loops. The network layer troubleshooting. This is the same process: physical, data, network, transport, session, presentation, application. But in the network, the symptoms: network failure, suboptimal performance, and then the cause of that of the network is the general network issues, connectivity issues, routing tables, neighbor issues, topology database. The last is the transport layer troubleshooting. The fourth one is the transport layer troubleshooting. On the transport, the symptoms is connectivity issue, access issue is caused the ACL configuration, not configuration. And also in transport layer troubleshooting, it's a common interoperability areas. It's a boot P and the DHCP and DNS and WINS, the SNPM, tunneling and encryption protocols. The application layer troubleshooting is iOS references model, and then the TCP or IP references model, and here is it. And then the troubleshooting end-to-end connectivity. The first step is to check physical connectivity, and the point where network communication steps are includes cables and hardware. The problem might be in the faulty cable or interface, or involved misconfigured or faulty hardware. Step 2 is check for duplex mismatches. Step 3, check data links and network layer addressing on the local network. This includes IPv4 ARP tables, IPv6 neighbor tables, MAC address tables, and VLAN assignments. The step 4, verify that the default gateway is correct. Step 5, ensure the devices are determining the correct path from the source to the determination and manipulation the routing information if necessary. Step 6, verify the transport layer is functioning properly. Telnet can be used to test transport layer connection from the command line. Step 7, verify that there are no ACLs blocking traffic. Step 8, ensures that DNS settings are correct. There should be DNS server that is accessible. And that's for the presentation of my course project. Thank you so much.